Welcome to Seeking Peace Newsline. Tonight's breaking story isn't about borders or politics. It's about the invisible storm sweeping across our world, the epidemic of anxiety and mental illness. The World Health Organization reports that depression is now the leading cause of disability worldwide. Here in the United States, nearly half of young adults say they live with anxiety or depression. Suicide rates are climbing. Prescriptions are at all-time highs. But in all the noise, one voice is missing, the Bible. And tonight we ask, what does God say about the anxiety epidemic? And could it be that his solution is closer than we think? 42% of Gen Z report persistent anxiety. 1 in 5 U.S. adults take psychiatric medication. Depression has spiked globally by over 25% since the pandemic. This is not just medical, it's not just social, it's spiritual, because anxiety forces every person to ask, where is my anchor? Who is holding me together? Culture offers us band-aids, mindfulness, apps, therapy, entertainment, or prescriptions. These can help for a season, but they don't get to the root. Why? Because anxiety is not only chemical, it's emotional, spiritual, and eternal. Without God in the equation, solutions will always fall short. Now, let's look at what God actually says. Philippians 4:6-7 declares, "Do not be anxious about anything, but in every situation, by prayer and petition with thanksgiving, present your requests to God. And the peace of God, which transcends all understanding, will guard your hearts and your minds in Christ Jesus." Notice that God will guard your heart and your mind. Isn't that what every doctor, every counselor, every medication promises? Protection for the mind, calm for the heart. But here God himself says his peace will be your guard. Then 1 Peter 5:7, "Cast all your anxiety on him because he cares for you." That's a direct command and a direct solution. Isn't that what someone having a panic attack longs for? To throw the crushing weight off? God says, give it to me, I'll carry it. And then Jesus in Matthew 11:28, "Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest." The world says cope. Jesus says rest. The world says manage. Jesus says release. Put these together and you see God's prescription for anxiety. Guarded hearts and minds, protection from mental chaos. Casting anxieties is release during panic. Rest in Christ is true relief, not just escape. That is not a theory. That is God's solution to mental health struggles. That is how peace becomes possible. And when it feels like you've hit rock bottom, the Bible shows us that God responds to desperate cries. Jonah, trapped in the belly of a fish, prayed, "In my distress I called to the Lord, and he answered me." Jonah 2:2. God delivered him. Nebuchadnezzar, driven to madness, living like a beast, finally lifted his eyes to heaven and his sanity was restored. Daniel 4:34. David, on the run, trembling in caves, wrote, "I sought the Lord and he answered me. He delivered me from all my fears." Like Psalm 34:4. When people cried out, God answered, and we see the same today. Nearly half of homeless individuals live with mental illness. Many self-medicate with drugs. 38% with alcohol, 26% with other substances. The cycle deepens the despair, stripping away dignity until people look like shadows of themselves. Genesis 1:27 tells us we were created in God's image, with purpose, dignity, and will. Addiction and mental illness mar that image. As Jesus warned in John 10:10, "The thief comes only to steal and kill and destroy, but God restores." I've heard stories of addicts whispering, "Lord, save me," and finding sobriety. People in panic whispering, "God, help me," and finding calm. A mother on the edge crying out and strength flooding in. When all else fails, Jehovah saves those who call on his name. Romans 10:13 says, "Everyone who calls on the name of Jehovah will be saved." That's not only salvation for eternity, that's salvation in the storm, peace in the panic, sanity in the madness. And that's what Tiffany Gerdine reminds us in her book, Seeking Peace. Peace isn't found in programs or pills alone. True peace comes from the God who hears, rescues, and restores. If Jonah could pray from the whale and live, if Nebuchadnezzar could come back from madness, if David could be delivered from terror, then so can you. Anxiety may be today's breaking news, but it doesn't have to be your final headline. Cry out to him, cast your cares, and let his peace guard your mind. This has been Seeking Peace Newsline. I'm Malik Jordan. Hold fast to hope, because peace is possible even in the storm.